Authentic leadership is the pathway to corporate and cultural unity. If you'd like to discover the easy path to authentic, empowered leadership so that you can watch the connection, communication, and commitment to your team soar, then stick with me. I'm Dr. Sage Breslin. I have a BA, an MA, and a PhD in counseling psychology, and I've been practicing as a psychologist for 28 years. I've also spent the last decade of my life working as a transformation psychologist and breakthrough coach with leaders all over the world. I am certified by Dr. Herb Benson at Harvard Medical Center in mind-body medicine, and I'm also a Reiki master. I am both the CEO of Sage Wisdom Institute and the president and founder of the Healing Heart Center Foundation. I've also worked with members of all branches of the U.S. military and the intelligence community, also Congress and the White House, to achieve personal clarity and authentic, empowered leadership. So what's so important about authenticity? I thought I'd just share with you a little bit of a story about one of my clients, really to identify how breaches in authenticity and failures in transparency can really have an impact, not just on the leader, but on the leader's team. So this particular CEO was running a company with about 60 employees. He was incredibly successful. His sales protocols were fantastic. People wanted to emulate him. He was held in high regard and he had an incredible reputation. But below the surface, there were some challenges. So he was a fellow who had a very overactive mind. He had a body that carried a lot of stress, and as a result, he had pretty poor quality sleep. In addition, he had less than optimal connection with not only his team, but also his family, often leading to personnel conflicts and relationship issues. He experienced communication challenges across the board when it really meant to anything sort of below the superficial, right? He worked harder and probably longer than everybody else on the team. And, I think that he probably would have chosen to do that, except that below the surface, he started becoming resentful, and that resentment and frustration led to additional personnel conflicts and limited his time for self-care and time with his family. His passion for his business was really high initially, but over time, it began to lag, and that affected his commitment both to his team and to the business as a whole. He knew that there was something going on, but unfortunately, he couldn't quite put on his finger on what it was, and he didn't know what he could possibly do about it until he came to us. And using the proprietary pillars of the Sage Wisdom Ways, we were able to drastically alter his personal and professional quality of life in a very short amount of time. But what did we do to achieve those results? So let me tell you the steps that he took. Step 1, by teaching the CEO to better connect to his mind, body, and spirit and intuition, he became more capable of realizing what issues were present for himself and for members of his team and family. The second step is that by increasing his clarity and his vision for his life and the business, he was able to identify what was out of alignment and in his way. The third step is when he discovered his limiting beliefs, stories, dynamics, and even relationships, he was able to resolve and release what had been driving him in the wrong direction, resulting in increased energy, invigorated connection to himself, his family, his team, and the business, improved commitment and messaging. And his fourth step was that it was time to revision. You don't build a house over and over again on a damaged or faulty foundation. When there's a problem with the foundation, the best thing you can do is probably raise it and start over. And for him, what he discovered below the surface was really getting in his way. So after resolving, we built a new foundation. And with that new foundation, it was time to reconfigure and revision. So he revisioned his approach to his life and his business. He experienced greater joy in his relationships, had a far better ease of communication, had a heightened passion for his business, and all but eliminated all of his personnel conflicts. He has been very grateful, and I'm happy to share some of his beautiful words and feedback on this slide and another. And it really is amazingly joyful when we receive this kind of feedback from clients that we've worked with, because, you know, certainly we like to know that what we're doing is having an impact. But when it's having an impact, not just on our clients, but on their families, on their teams, on their communities, it's so amazing, and it invigorates us even further as well. So why does our method work better than others? We have a unique approach for leadership development that's focused less on basic skills training and more on accessing the wisdom that rests below the surface. There's so much data, rich, replete below our surface, that we just haven't tapped into yet. And when we do, it's amazing how much we can learn about ourselves and others. Other attempts to develop a truly effective leadership style may have failed you before because you only had one set of skills. And most leaders learn practical skills, strategic skills. The vast majority of leaders pursue their business with the tactical approach of a warrior. They disconnect head and heart and compartmentalize for a very articulate, but often very sterile engagement. The problem is that if your team can't experience you in full transparency, they won't develop rapport, they won't trust you, and they won't have the motivation to serve you. So how do our methods surpass the others? We use these proprietary pillars of the Sage Wisdom Ways, and we dive deep below the surface to improve connection to self, source, and others, to enhance clarity of any and all obstacles to full transparency. We resolve and release those prohibitive ideas, stories, relationships, circumstances, dynamics, and then we reconfigure that foundation and we revision the course for impassioned and empowered leadership. Book a call with us right now. If you've gotten some value out of this presentation, if it's even just giving you a tiny taste and you thought, I wonder what's below my surface. I wonder how that's affecting my team. Then book a call with us right now so I can get to know you better and we can discover your pathway to optimal transparency and authentic leadership. The button's right down there. Have a great day or evening.